I am the reason that this hasn't happened in the past decade. Yo, I know all of you guys want me to talk about Dave Castro. I know you guys want me to review the Savon podcast, and maybe I'll talk about it a little bit, but right now, I'm going to dive in a little bit into the press conference, because I haven't talked much about that either, with the exception of myself sitting on the Savon podcast. But he has a flow of things, and that's okay, it's his show. But my flow of things is I want to dive in really hard on one part of that press conference. There's a question asked by Kat Shear, I think she's from Clydesdale, and she wanted to know about the judges.
So there's been a lot of criticism around the accuracy of judging in both live competitions and online formats. Assuming you agree that there's, an opportunity for improvement there, some of the ideas sort of on the table are paying judges, formal training for judges, maybe minimum certification requirements for judges. Are you sort of considering any of those things or any other ideas? And if so, would anything be implemented prior to the games this year?
I'll take that one. So I think there's a couple misconceptions there. Number one, this isn't new. There's always been criticism of judging both online and in person. And that's fine. I think that, there should be a healthy level of pressure put on people that choose to engage in the sport in that way. And I think in the same regard, there should be a healthy level of pressure put on the athletes to conduct themselves in a way that's in accordance with the standards that they're being asked to do. So that's fine. I do think that we're in a hypercritical moment right now. And so I don't see this season as being particularly different than others in terms of rate of incident.
Adrian Bosman is the one who fielded the question. Every single question that got fielded at that press conference was put in the exact same way of that clip that I put on my Instagram reel from Billy Madison.
Mr. Madison, what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, a simple wrong would have done just fine, but...
And Billy Madison, the guy sits there and is like, may God rest your soul. No, everyone here got stupider for having listened to you. That's how I felt at the end of every single thing that was addressed at this press conference. Here's a well-worded question by a reporter that you graced in your presence to allow them into this press conference, because, people like myself and Savon are allowed in there. Well-articulated question. They even have to, say, thank you for letting me ask this question, kind sir.
Thanks again, guys, as always, for putting this together and for making yourselves available. Really appreciate it, sincerely.
It's weird. Besides the point, but it's weird. And then they give that loop-de-doop bullshit where it's like, well, there's this, and then there's this, and then at the end of the couple of minutes that either Adrian Bosman or Justin Berg are done speaking, you're left thinking,
everyone in this room is now dumber.
What was their answer? I know what the question was. The question was, are you going to be improving judging? And the biggest answer that we got out of all of that was that,
number one, this isn't new. There's always been criticism of judging both online and in person.
Issues have been going on forever. Adrian Bosman's like, well, there's no difference here. It's like the only difference is that it's a critical moment. It's a hyper moment, and everyone is like, they keep on not saying my freaking name. It's like, my name is Andrew Hiller. I know you've seen at least one of my videos. You have to have seen something from me. I put out a video a day. It's impossible to have avoided me at this point. I'm fucking everywhere. Like freaking COVID. I'm everywhere. You should be just like, oh, I don't know what he's doing. So if there was a goal to me and there's something that I want to do, my number one goal is to get a pretty good audience to the point where you could hear things that I wanted to talk about and the thing that I love so much, which is the CrossFit space. And I think that so far I'm doing a pretty good job at that. And then I had little micro goals, and it was like, hey, I hear someone talking about me, but they're not addressing me by name. And that kind of pisses me off. And I love Chase. And there was a point in time where I think on the Get With The Programming podcast, they were talking about me a little bit, but they didn't want to name my name. And it was on the Training Think Tank podcast. They were talking about me a little bit, but now they're saying me by name. They say, hey, Hiller, he said this. And now we're to the point where we're at the top. We're at the tippy top. And CrossFit, Justin Berg, Adrian Bosman, they're referring to me abstractly, and it pisses me off a little bit. At some point, I want them to say me by name in a press conference, if only because they understand what it is that I'm trying to do here. Everyone knows that when you're talking about hypercritical moments, and the only reason that this hasn't happened in the past decade is blah, blah, blah. I am the reason that this hasn't happened in the past decade. Laser focused on the goal, okay? And I know that Friday I put up a video that was completely unrelated to the goal. It was something in relation to me just fucking around around on the internet. I was on Facebook messing with a scammer. Got like 3,000 views. Nobody wanted to see that, but that's okay. The only reason I had to do that was because I couldn't put up with this anymore because I was so frustrated with CrossFit. Because I gave them 3 chances to fix a fucking semifinal workout for the Masters, which was a direct qualifier for the CrossFit Games, and they didn't do any of it. And I was like, oh my God, how can they see this and just let it freaking go? So, we have Kat ask this question about the judges. We have Adrian Bosman give this response, which is that, this has been an issue for a long time. And then, what do you expect me to do? It's like, what we expect you to do? We expect you to do what you did in 2011, 2012, which is no rep.
What's that, Sevon? No rep.
You were the guy. There was pictures everywhere. You were the freaking background of the not loading page on CrossFit.com. You might still be the no rep guy, right? You were the no rep guy, and now you're the director of the games. And the way that I view this is that you have all the power at this point. You put your head judge in charge. Who's your head judge? I don't know. I'll raise my hand. Hey, Andrew Hiller, I'll be your head judge. I don't know. What do you want me to do? Whatever you want to do. Put someone there so that they can be over the head of the other judges. And the other judges, they need a message. There has to be a mission statement. I don't see a direction. I don't know where the ship is pointed. I see them trying to pander to every single person under the sun because they want to make a bunch of money. And that's cool, make a bunch of money. But I also think that you're pissing off half of the people who don't know where you're directed. That goes to every single witch stem, not just the community of people that don't know where you're directed, but to your judges. And in 2011, 2012, on my Instagram reel, I put up that clip. I think it was Chuck Carswell, and he was saying, if there's any doubt at all, we all know what good movement looks like. And if it is any doubt, then it's a no rep.
Chuck, I'm going to ask you the hardest question I've asked any judge.
Okay.
A rep occurs and it's fucking so borderline you don't know.
Yeah. What's the question?
Do you give it to them, or does it? You give them the benefit of the doubt, or do you no rep them?
I think you have to no rep them, honestly.
Even though if you're not sure, if it's like just like fuck, I don't know.
If you're unsure, then it didn't happen. And one thing we all know about good movement is, it's been said so many times, I think Sherwood says it all the time too, is that good movement is obvious to everyone. There is no interpretation about it. It's good from across the room. It's good standing right up close to it.
If that's the message you're putting out to everybody at every point in time, at every competition, and Katrin David's daughter isn't touching her chest to the ground, there isn't even a glimmer that you're going to be mad at that judge for no repping her. And she'll understand, she's like, okay, there must be something that I'm doing wrong here, because the only thing the judges are doing is looking for anything wrong with the movement. And if there's something wrong with my movement, then it's on me. I'm going to get into a little bit of a tangent right here. Ready, set, my car was stolen. It's not here. It's not here because it wasn't stolen now, but it was stolen about a year ago. I bought a brand new car. The car that I've got, they typically get beat on. They're kind of fast, and I wanted to get a brand new one because I wanted to take care of my car. I wanted to make sure that nobody hit their engine too early. I wanted to make sure that the suspension wasn't all fucked up. I wanted to make sure the brakes were good to go, and I didn't want someone's beat up piece of shit car. My first brand new car ever, and I was very excited about it, and then 1 month after I bought it, it got stolen from me. It got stolen out of my driveway, middle of the night. It was like 4 a.m. I found it. The one that you see in some of my videos is my car. It's the one that was stolen. I got it back. They recovered it. Did some work on it, but it's never going to be a brand new car ever again. It's very frustrating because I'm still paying for a brand new car. But what I've got is this used, beat up car that someone stole from me and beat the shit out of it for a week and then gave it back. Right now it's in the shop because the brakes were squeaking. Why are they squeaking? Brought it to the mechanic. He goes, wow, you've only had this thing for 10,000 miles? I've never seen a car this bad 10,000 miles. I'm like, yeah, that's because it wasn't me. I didn't do it. So the brakes are getting repaired, and this is the car that now I have to live with. Why this tangent, Andrew? This tangent is because I, through my car theft, understand that why are all of the cars like mine getting stolen? Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT gets stolen all the time, just like Dodge Chargers and Dodge Challengers. They get stolen all the time. 1, they're easy to steal. 2, if you get caught having stolen that car, you go to jail for a couple days, and then they let you go. In Illinois, in my county. I'm not sure if that's the case present day, but a year ago when my car was stolen, I know that they were just getting stolen left and right. In my area, they hit the area hard. Apparently there was 4 other Jeep SRTs stolen right out of this freaking area code. And they do that because they get away with it left and right. Why do they get away with it? The cops aren't allowed to chase them in my area code. Once they go to jail, they're let go. Apparently car theft isn't that bad. I don't know why. It should be bad, right? And it's all because there's somebody up here. And I mentioned it earlier. We've got Adrian Bosman up here who's got his head judges who's overlooking the judges who overlook the athletes. And down here, in my scenario here, the athletes are the car thieves. If they can get away with things, they're gonna try to get away with things. So you know what we need? We need the police officers to enforce the law. But the only way that they can enforce the law is if you have the head judge saying, hey, you can chase these guys. You know why we can chase these guys? Because whoever makes the laws in the first place is putting all of this into place because everyone knows exactly where we're going. So that was my tangent. And the only thing that I can do is I connect dots. I connect dots between that and this and whatever. I pull frustrations, I throw them into the video, I do them for entertainment, but I also think that they drive a point across. And the point that I'm trying to drive across is that there has to be a message in the right direction. Do we love the sport? Yeah. Do we know what is right and wrong? Yeah. And yeah. It's like, should cars be allowed to be stolen for people who bought them with their own money? No. Should squats be done below parallel? Yeah. If they aren't done below parallel, what do? No rep. What happens when there's a no rep? If everything's done the right way, the athlete goes, okay, I'll go a little bit lower. Maybe I'll extend my hips. If you know that everyone's getting soft, and you know that if you steal a car, you might only go to jail for a couple of days, and you'll get a slap on the wrist, then you're going to try to play the line.
Riding the line here with these deadlifts. Really riding the line there with those deadlifts.
And you know, before you know it, no one's going to want to buy a new car, and everyone's going to be doing things the wrong way. And the only way that you do it is you start up here and you say, hey guys, when you're going to church on Sunday, if you gotta ask if the dress is too short, it's too short.
Isn't that the analogy that Boz uses? If your sister comes to you on Sunday and is like, is this skirt too short to wear to church? And you have to be like, if you have to ask, it's too short.
Yeah, done. That answers the question.
We all know the right answer here, right? Get a longer dress, squat lower, lock out your elbows, do things the right way. And I know that you guys wanted me to talk about the Dave Castro-Sevan interview, but there's so much to unpack in there, and there's been a lot going on this weekend with all of this stuff. But the big connection here is that Adrian, I don't know if he's the guy for the job. He was an excellent fucking head judge. Everyone knew he was an excellent head judge. We know that he's a guy of integrity. I don't know the inner mechanisms of CrossFit and over there. I'm not trying to say he doesn't belong as the director of sport, whatever he's doing. But I do know that what Dave Castro said is that he would have never allowed his team to say something like that, which was,
number one, this isn't new. There's always been criticism of judging both online and in person.
Even when I was there, I would not have leaned on that as an answer, is how I'll address that. I think there's a much better way to approach that.
It's always been this way, so why is there a big issue right now? If it weren't for Andrew Hiller, there would have been no issue. I don't want a divide. I don't want to make a video and then make everyone put pressure on Dave to never go on Sevan's podcast again. That sounds fucking terrible. I think that him being on the podcast was huge. I think that it's the best thing to happen to the sport of CrossFit since he was fired, because unlike the Billy Madison responses that we got from the press conference,
at no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
We got a question from Sevan about questions that we wanted to hear answers to, and we have Dave giving us straightforward answers. Or at least, if he didn't want to talk about it, he would just say, I don't want to talk about it. You got to respect both of those things, but the worst thing ever is wasting people's time. I cut the videos up so that you get the things that I get to have to say across as soon as you can. Try to make them entertaining. I want you to have a good time listening to my videos. And if there's 300,000 people signed up for the Open, I want 300,000 people listening to my YouTube channel, all getting the dots connected in a way that makes sense, and I want them helping to push the sport in the right direction. I was thinking, if I had 300,000 people watching my videos and CrossFit Games has 10,000 people watching their videos, who's got more power? Who's got more pull? Who has more influence? Who are you going to listen to? The guy who speaks common sense, who's telling you things straight up, or the individuals over there who are falling to the, oh, it's always been like this, so let it go. Fuck it. Leave it alone. I want to know what you have to say. I'll probably do a little bit more on the Dave Castro stuff. You know what I say? Probably. I'm definitely going to do more. This is just the tippy top. Andrew Hiller, out.